Welcome to day 2 of Forage Focus. I'm Joe Dickinson. I'm the president of the Ontario Forage Council. We'd like to thank our conference sponsors, Porteous Russell Real Estate and Range Ward, as well as tonight's sponsor, CanGrow Solutions. And today we have Adrian Rivard and Mike Verhoog, and they're talking about using drones in forage production systems. I will turn the floor over to Adrian and Mike, and you guys can decide who's going to speak when.
It's all you, Adrian.
Alrighty. Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Adrian Rivard. I'm the president and founder of Drone Spray Canada. With me tonight is Mike Verhoog. He's in Canada. Our head office is down here in Yeah, we're going to talk about drones and forages. Not always something you think of off firsthand. There are, again, increasing applications that we're seeing. We can kind of go through some of those in a bit of a PowerPoint here with a little bit of media, show you guys some things we've done over the years. So who we are, we were founded in 2020. We began actually as custom applicators. There was more of an interest in the services. The drones were pretty novel at the time. We started with little 10-liter drones. It's completely different to what we are now with these big 100-liter drones. They're really impressive what they can do. We've kind of touched on just about everything you can do with a drone, whether it's agriculture and row crops or greenhouse applications, orchards, forestry, invasive species, mine remediation. If you can kind of think of what a drone can do, someone's probably asked us to do it, and we've probably been silly enough to actually do it. So in 2024, we did shift our focus a little more from the application side towards the dealership side. There's an increasingly huge amount of interest in the space, and we honestly can't even service that whole market as applicators. So to empower more people and teach them how to use the drones effectively has actually been a really successful way to get this technology into every farmer's hands. So we've got a new head office here in Blenheim. It's a nice facility, the showroom, maintenance facilities, everything we need to keep everybody moving. So yeah, just don't take our shiny brochure things at face value. Mike is a dairy farmer. He's also my business partner here, and we've got about 50,000 acres covered between the two of us. Drones themselves do lend themselves to a lot of application or a lot of benefits in, again, any agriculture setting, but especially in forages. Again, we're still not doing any soil compaction. There's no trample damage when we're going across the fields. And again, if it rained 2 inches, we can be out there. We can actually still be applying in the rain, which we've both done with great deals of enthusiasm. Sometimes those windows are tight. And again, the drones give us some really cool alternative timings that people wouldn't really think of. We'll kind of touch on those a little bit. Typically, it's been something that you can't really get into a field or timing. We're doing a lot of cover crop seeding into standing crops. Before, you had to hire a helicopter, an airplane, and it's quite cost prohibitive. So the drones make it extremely economical. Again, the drones themselves are within reach of most farmers for cost. Or again, there's a lot of applicators that are coming up and aspiring. There's lots of opportunity for people to be growing their business. So one of the things that would apply to forages, again, we're looking at, we do a lot of frost seeding. This instance here in particular is underseeding clover into wheat, but we have done hay into crops, or even just hay into bare ground, trying to get a bit of a jump on some things. Sometimes it's just directly broadcast. Sometimes they do go back in and roll it or harrow it in a little bit. Obviously not into wheat, but again, saying that hay or alfalfa seeding. Um, and the drones are extremely accurate in terms of our spread patterns and our application rates. The drones have scales on them. Again, when we're kind of dealing with finicky numbers, like again, clover typically goes on that 8 to 10 pounds per acre. We can be extremely accurate. We actually get a lot of customers who would call and, hey, we put a bag of clover in the broadcast spreader on the ETV. We got to the end of the field and it was empty. And wow, it was supposed to take 2 bags to do that whole field. So, we're usually quite accurate. It really helps in those costs to be where we're supposed to be. Here's a video of what the drone seeing as we do. This is again clover. It's sorry, I think I paused it. Again, it doesn't matter how muddy it is. Our boots don't really get that muddy. Also, another thing where we see a lot of customers who are used to that frost seeding and they want to go January, February and put out a product, typical of seeds. And then once we get into this end of March, April, when it's getting pretty gooey and customers are wondering, oh, is it getting too late? We actually find really good catches later on in the season. The seeds don't really go through as much stress. There's really that freeze thaw. It does help drive in the ground a little bit, but we're actually seeing, again, this is that new timing that does seem to amount to kind of better catches. Again, here's some seeds into here's wheat again. And again, don't just take our word for it. Here's some satisfied customers. This one again, we did that clover and alfalfa down there in Croton. This is again touching into broadcasting and standing crops. Again, we can use the drone. We've had quite a few customers in say beef. We'll put out some rye end of August, early September, even though that corn's going to be out there for another couple of months, trying to get a jump on it. Maybe we can even get so lucky as to graze something before the winter sets in. It all, again, depends on our rains, depends on how that fall works out. Seems like this winter here, we kind of got a quick jump from summer to a couple of feet of snow. So, it really depends on how that worked out. But come spring, we've done a lot of work, and this is actually one of my fields, end of mid-April here, and that rye is past the axle of the tractor, and the only way to get through is with the vertical till. But again, trying to get those jumps. Again, I'm a row crop farmer, so I don't really want the forage or the feed value, but again, getting a nice jump on things really does help. So here we're looking at more of the spraying side of things. So here we have our new T100 model, and again, it's flying over some alfalfa right now. Gives us the ability to cover acres fast. The new T100 here, it flies at 45 miles an hour. It's got a 25-gallon tank, and we really find those optimal spray volumes between 3 to 5 gallons per acre. So when we can cover a 5-acre worst case scenario, maybe up to 7 or 8 acres to a flight very quickly. We're actually, Mike, I believe he did a field at this 60-acre field in about 45 minutes.
Yep.
It really kind of pushes what we can do. And again, fraction of a cost of what a field sprayer would be. Again, the spraying capable T100 is around the $50,000 mark. What we're looking at for a lot of sprayers now is much higher than that. Again, lots of applications that we have tons of interest in corn. Again, fungicides right now are a really big interest. We do work a substantial amount of the summer with a lot of registrants, getting efficacy data through the research programs as to how well fungicides work. And then again, whether it's silage corn or grain corn, keeping things like dawn down. Again, that stay green is really important too. In having a healthier plant is good in the end for everything. So the drones again have this fantastic capability. We're seeing registration hopefully within the next 10 months or so. There are some products that we're hoping will actually be approved for this coming growing season that we worked with for many years. And those products would be for wheat, corn, and soybeans. Um, but we're seeing that the ability to get in there when it's wet is obviously a big one. The wind doesn't really affect us too much on a tall crop, and then really that ability to have no trample damage. We kind of get the inside future jump on some things where through the research programs we can benefit on some of our acres. And for me, I think it's always great when the last piece of machinery that goes through the field is the planter, and the next thing that goes back through it is going to be the combine. We top dress urea into our corn. This is where, again, all this granular seeding can go into it. And you can really have the ability to tailor that crop fertility based on market conditions or what you think you're going to need, or the weather changes. Again, we had such a dry summer this year that if you're only going to get 100 well, I'm a row crop guy, but 120 bushel corn, we don't have to keep on feeding it more nitrogen if it hasn't rained in 2 months. It just really gives you the ability to change your plan as the season goes. Which again, as we're looking into managing a pasture or something, maybe market prices or on beef or something are going to change. Maybe where you want to be working on managing your livestock, which also translates back into your crop to feed everything. We do want to talk again right now in terms of applications for the drones. There's also a lot of nutrients that we can work with. We do work a lot with a lot of the fertilizer companies, one of them being Grow. We do actually do a lot of trial work with them. And so again, we can always apply them to foliars. Again, there's your macros, your micros, biostimulants, bios. They are working a lot on lower application rate things too as well. They do have a lot of colleagues and partners in the US, and they're spraying things at a gallon per acre and seeing really good efficacy and uptake on those fertilizers. Again, we wouldn't typically recommend a crop protection product, again, depending if it's systemic or contact. We like higher volumes, but in terms of fertilizers, there's even sometimes a little bit of theory that a bigger osmotic differential might even help kind of push some products into the leaf. So again, there's some fulvic acid helping for optimizing some water, which again doesn't hurt with a crop protection product. And then they're actually also working on typical, what we're all used to, are 10-liter jugs, but also some ready to spray totes where it's all blended and ready to go, where literally we just show up with a pump, put it in the drone, and you're good to go. So it makes a lot more simplicity in handling, and that really does optimize your day. We do have, again, a little bit of, forages kind of don't really get the love that row crop stuff does in terms of efficacy data. Sometimes, you're counting bales sometimes to see how well a field did. Of course, us row crop guys are always fixated on bushels per acre. So again, this is a trial that we had done down towards Leamington, and again, they had it was a 13.1. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. It was 15 bushel difference control versus the max impact. So again, it's really nice with the drones, especially if you're looking at seeing if a product is going to work or not work. You don't have to go and tank mix a whole 1,600 gallon tank or something. We've got 25 gallons at the most. You can always do a 5-gallon batch and just go spray out an acre, mark it out, and then you can kind of see some efficacy data. Again, this is essentially what those strips kind of look like. Another thing that we kind of look at too on the forage side is So a lot of you guys with livestock, you've got tons of manure, and sometimes there's a lot of variability in that. So later on in the season, we can look at a crop. We can go and do some imaging with some multispectral drones, and we can come back in, and again we can do a like a variable rate application on it. Try to maybe bring the weak spots up, or again on the good spots, try to bring those up even more. It really kind of depends on your approach to, again, your fertility and how you want to try to get things moving along. So that's mostly what I'm going to talk about. Again, here's a bit of a shameless plug. So, we sell drones, part service, support, training, lots of consultation. If you have any questions, just want to talk, and feel free to give us a call. We always like to talk drones, probably until you're bored of hearing them. We kind of live and breathe these, and I think there's enormous potential and usages for them.
Yeah, and I think kind of how we were going to do this demonstration or this video thing is Adrian was going to kind of do that bit, and then I was going to talk about what I do on my farm. So, I do work with Adrian. We work together. We sell these drones, but I'm also a dairy farmer, and I started using the drones like 5 years ago, something like that, and just sort of fell in love with it. You get to do all kinds of different stuff on your farm. You have your own equipment. I guess for me, what we do is we really try to use every little piece of the farm. I'm over by Stratford, and the land here is very, very expensive, like it is everywhere else. And the idea was every corner needs to pay. Every little spot, we got to make sure we use the best. And some of the stuff we do with the drones is we can go out and just put a little bit of something out. I don't have to pay somebody else to do it. I'm doing it myself. So we'll go put some foliar applied fertilizer on. We'll do some plots. We'll do kinds of different stuff, and we'll see how it works, right? And we can do it so well with the drones so easily that we just do all kinds of little things like that. On our farm, we grow corn, alfalfa, and a few soybeans. We try to not grow corn after corn all the time, but mostly we have to do a couple years at least. And so when I'm doing my corn, we're talking about we want very, very healthy corn. We want corn with lots of sugars in it. Same with my alfalfa. We try on the alfalfa, for example, we'll go out and even seed little spots that maybe don't look as good, right? We'll go out with the drone and we'll just put a little bit on. We'll also go put like a foliar feed on when we need to. The timing, you want to get it in the morning, right? So we'll go out at like 6 o'clock in the morning and we'll do it for a few hours. Then maybe we'll go back again another day and finish the job. The other thing we do on our farm that I really like with the drone is we go out with a multispectral drone. Adrian talked about that. And we'll go look at crop health of the corn and we'll see what areas of the field need more N than others. So we'll go with an M3M, we'll scan the field. Then we'll take that prescription, we'll put it into the spreading drone, and we'll go apply urea. Like we use most of the N I use for my corn is from the dairy manure. And then we go later on in the season, check the field, and apply it at a prescription. And I find that some years everything's going great, and it's the manure is readily available. We don't need a lot of N. Other years it's really cold and wet, and the manure we're not getting the N out of the manure, so we got to put more on. And so it's hard to just go and say, this field every year we're going to put this much manure on. And so I really like that. It saves us a lot of money. The corn does better. We're not tramping anything down. We actually go 15-inch corn on our corn silage. And so we can't really go through the field without tramping stuff down. We also do our crop protection with the drone. So we do the fungicide, and it does a great job. We've done trials before where we'll do like a third of the field with a traditional sprayer, a third of the field with nothing, and a third of the field with the drone. And we're seeing like a 5 bushel increase using the drone over the ground rig. There's lots of reasons for that. It's a lot to do with the coverage the drone's getting. It pushes the sprays down into the crop and gets it under the leaf and on top. I mean, that's kind of the goal when we're talking about foliar feeding, crop protection, is covering the entire plant with the product. Um, we're big fans of it here at our place. What are the other things we do? Like we'll go in and do our cover crop. So we go rye after corn silage comes off typically, and then we harvest in the spring, and then we no-till corn in. So what we're doing now is we're trying to do like we did a plot this year where we spread rye into standing corn. It was established before we took the corn silage off, and we didn't have to work it. We didn't have to go and seed it. We even went and put manure on after the corn silage was off. So we went and put our liquid manure on after that, and it looks great. Didn't cost me much. I had the machine. Operation costs like I figure I've run the drones for a few years. I figure like $3 an acre is the cost to operate it. That includes depreciation. Um, so here for me, it's become a big deal. Started with just having some fun with the drone, and then now I'm selling drones and talking to all you guys about drones. By the way, it's really weird talking on a video because you don't know if anybody's laughing at your jokes. So I don't know. Adrian's got a smile on, but he has to. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Is there any questions? I'm not sure where we're going after this.
There was one question I had
Yeah,
seen
there are
before.
some questions.
Before.
So I figured the way this is gonna run, I'll field questions as people type them in the chat. So feel free to put your questions in, and I'll make sure that I ask them to Adrian and Mike. So yeah, just to kind of get us started, I know seed to soil contact is
Mhm.
really important for good forage establishment.
Yeah.
So are any of the farmers you work with like following the drone with a packer, particularly if like are you seeding grasses with this thing as well as legumes? Like can you talk me through a bit more about that seed to soil contact piece? Because that's always a challenge with broadcasting.
Like I've done alfalfa before for guys. I don't actually do the alfalfa with the drone myself. We'll fill in some spots, but the it's such an expensive product, and you're using it. We on our farm we go for 4 years. If you don't get underneath the branches because the drone can't, it's just a part of the field you're not going to be using. So we actually do seed it, but I've done it before for guys where I go and I broadcast it, and they'll just run over it with a roller afterwards.
Okay.
And in the middle of the field where everything's fine, it works great. It's just my struggle is getting right along the bush line under the tree. That's not acceptable to me to not be planted. So we do the whole field with a planter.
Nothing's going to grow on the tree anyways, but anyways, Mike wants to cover every inch.
Yeah.
Sometimes things grow under trees, Adrian. This
Yeah.
isn't grow crops.
Very rarely. Yeah, we've seen that a lot with packing it or harrowing it in after. But again, it depends. If you're underseeding a crop, obviously you're not going to go over barley and pack it all in. So that's it's kind of what's practical. It is seed to soil contact is of course very important. We did have some customers this year I thought were a little bit silly in terms of broadcasting soybeans into wheat. A couple of
They might be watching, Adrian.
Yeah, sorry guys. I thought you were crazy. But anyways, we had some fantastic data for feedback from what they've done in terms of one guy out here in Dover. Apparently the beans were about 6-7 inches tall when they're cutting wheat. That's where seed soil contact is always very important. I'll be honest, we've had some failures. I myself grow canola, and it grows fantastic in July off the combine. Trying to broadcast it into soybeans when it's middle of September. There was one year I grew So I usually put in after soybeans. The leaves are still fairly green middle of September, and I'm like, oh man, like I'm not gonna be able to get this canola in. This beans are still gonna be here, so put 3-4 pounds out to the acre and see what happens. And the roots came out, it germinated, but then it dried up and it died. So that was an expensive 50 acres. But again, learning experiences. Some years it would work great. Again, I was talking with another gentleman down here in Essex County. For years, they've been flying on wheat with the helicopters. Works great. We've had kind of hit and miss with wheat itself. Same situation. I think it could be herbicide carryover. It could be slug damage. There's It's hard to isolate. Yes, it's seed soil contact. Obviously, it's imperative. It's how plants grow, but um, how to optimize that. The other one too is again, say you go in behind corn and you drill in like rye, you get that seed soil contact naturally. Maybe you'll see it germinated and out of the ground in a week or 2 weeks, obviously depending on temperatures. The drones maybe might take another week or two after that to kind of see a little more activity. We have worked again with Jake Monroe this fall. I don't have any data back on. We did some earlier timing on some rye and oats into corn and soybeans. And again, kind of interested to see that was more on the cover crop side versus forages. Unfortunately, you guys kind of get lumped together. um, but yeah, it's the best we can kind of try to do to drive it in.
Okay. So another question, you mentioned that you've been applying some fulvic acid. How much fulvic acid are growers you're working with using? What's kind of the range of rates on that?
Yeah, most fertilizer companies, it's again, whether it's the math is easy and everyone always wants a liter an acre. That's again, that's most fertilizers. It's liter an acre, 2 liters an acre, sort of thing. Fulvics, I believe, are typically one. Um, Again, concentration levels. That's kind of PhD level stuff that I'm not that smart on knowing. I know active ingredient rates, but in terms of how much fulvic acid per volume or molecular weight, I just put the chemical on. um,
Fair enough.
yeah.
Yeah. And another kind of question sort of in that line is what swath width are you using for fungicide on corn? Or does that vary by product?
Yeah.
It varied by crop more than anything. The taller the crop, the narrower swath width's going to be typically. So corn, we're down to, well, this is T50 data, I guess. We're still working on our T100 data, but for the T50 was like 24 feet. Um, and then you would go up to like 27 probably on shorter crops.
Get up to 30 feet on short
Yeah,
stuff.
on like bare ground, pretty much. Yep.
And really, the big reason is again, we spray anywhere from bare ground up to tall corn, or even invasive species, Phragmites. Or again, orchards are different. We've fertilized sugar bushes. Everything is kind of its own. Uh, Depending on how big the biomass is, how fast you're traveling. Again, corn typically we like that. No really wider than 24 feet, sometimes 21 feet. And again, the taller it is, the less that swath can kind of blow out. That's really what the biggest dynamic that we see when we're applying. It's we spent a lot of time working with Jason DeVoe especially, and it's a really complicated relationship on travel speeds and volumes and what you're doing. And unfortunately, every couple of years, there's oh look, we know everything about the T50 now that the T100 just came out, so
Yeah.
we have to figure that out again.
It's the biggest challenge with drones is getting that swath width right and knowing how the the product you're using acts at certain speeds into certain crops. Those are all sort of things that we really focus on so that the people we work with have quick answers from us, basically.
Okay.
And sometimes it depends on the target. Again, like if it's a T3 fungicide on weed, all you care about is the head. Corn, we do want to get down to the ear leaf. Again, so if you slow down, your downwash kind of penetrates more and gets that product into that crop a little better. Again, I have colleagues over in Michigan. Chestnut weevil is the pest that they're after. It literally just lives in the crown of a chestnut tree. All they got to do is just lay it on top. So the faster they go, the more acres they can cover. I know I've sprayed trees that are 60 feet tall, and if I slow down, I can push that product right to the ground. So it all depends on what you're trying to do. But again, corn, yeah, that's kind of the answer.
All right. So when you're broadcasting seed with a drone, do you need to increase the seeding rate higher than you would if you were broadcasting from a ground rig, a four-wheeler or something like that?
No, it's the same. It's a little bit higher up.
Okay. So does that affect like the spread pattern when you're broadcasting seed? Like is that going to be dramatically different than a ground rig? And obviously, you guys have used your drones enough, you've adjusted for that. But can you talk me through similarities and differences broadcasting seed with a drone versus broadcasting off an ATV or a spinner on the tractor?
Yeah, like if it's a broadcast situation where you're sitting on the ground, it's again the general guidance. Like if you're going to drill something, then you would up your seeding rate by 30%. That would be the only thing. But if it's off an ATV or going out with your hand and chucking it out the back of your truck, whatever. It's that's where the difference comes from. Again, we see a lot of rye at the bushel per acre sort of mark. You're 50, 56, about 50 pounds an acre. Again, the wheat guys trying to go at 3 bushel an acre. That's possible. Yeah, that's kind of those magic numbers that work kind of well.
Okay. We've also had some questions coming in about prices because it's new
Super cheap.
technology. No one's got their brain around like how does this stack up compared to services and machines that they're used to. So the first question in that vein is territory you guys cover. So how far north do you go? Do you go up to Temiskaming Shores, that'd be New Liskeard area?
So I think I seen that come in. We don't do custom work up there, but we'll sell you a drone.
Fair
Um,
enough.
we're actually working on getting somebody up into Miskameen Shores in the Liskard area to work with us. Because yeah, we're Drone Spray Canada, we're across Canada. But yeah, Southwestern Ontario has been our, where we're sort of set up mostly, but we're working on partners across Canada.
Okay.
In terms
So,
of, oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Adrian.
Oh, like again, we've had kind of a shift in our company. Like when we started, we knew pesticides and drones were quite a few years away. We were really doing a lot of that research work. We've worked with, Bayer, BASF, Syngenta, Corteva, Agriculture Canada. I've driven across the country to BC or Manitoba. I drove, to Manitoba to spray with 37 feet of trees. That was a very long drive during COVID. We typically were working from Windsor to Quebec City, getting a lot of this data for the registrants. As we're seeing a lot more of the light at the end of the tunnel, we hope, a lot of that specialty part of what we've kind of entrenched ourselves into. Again, like when we were doing a really big residue study for Agriculture Canada, and it wasn't one of the sites that we were doing. It was out in Western Canada. The drone contractor, he programmed the drone, wanted it fully automatic. It sprayed a fungicide like 4 feet to the right of the plot and like didn't hit the plot. Like again, it's one of those things where, in the research world, they literally planted this 30 feet to be sprayed by us. Like you can't mess it up. Like so in terms of the service side of things, we're only kind of finishing up in that last little bit of like very specialty stuff. It's a technology. It's not hard. My 9-year-old can fly this thing with supervision. It is very easy to fly them. So it's the application services. We're seeing lots of people out there that can provide that, and we're happy to train people. And you can be an extension of us. to how to run things.
So, what would be kind of a ballpark cost per acre for a drone to do, like a drone to be seeding?
If custom work can be, if I was charging custom work, it all depends on the pounds. So 8 pounds per acre, I think I was charging that $10 an acre-ish, up to 130 pounds per acre, 150 pounds per acre is going to be over that $20. Um, and then it goes up from there, right? It's really about how long it takes us to do the job. Um, and then spraying, yeah, anywhere from that 16 to 20 is sort of typical. Now things change all the time, but um, yeah,
Absolutely. And like we do see, especially trying to get custom contractors in, the ground rigs are so big now. Is there minimum acreage for custom contractors? Are you seeing that in the drone space?
typically, yep, yep. Typically, like I mean, if you got to come out for 10 acres, it doesn't take a whole lot longer to do 50 acres. So sometimes it'll be a quote from some of the good, like we help our customers with this too, right? We talk, well, what do we charge, right? And for me, it was $600, was my minimum charge. Um, and that's expensive if you're doing 10 acres, but yeah, that's kind of what it costs to get everything going, right?
Like we try not to kind of dictate industry rates, but again, we do encourage everybody, again, to be competitive with existing methods. Again, we typically kind of were maybe a dollar or two premium on a ground rig, spawn spraying, that sort of stuff. Again, there's somebody's time that has to get paid. The drone is they're becoming very, very fast and efficient in terms of what we can do in a day. A lot of my work I was running this last summer with one T50, and I cover 250 acres in a day. And again, this is a lot of the fungicide trial work, and they want to be at 5 gallons per acre. That's mostly what my days kind of look like in the summer. The T100 now, again, we're double the speed, double the capacity. We should be able to hit that 500-600 acres. So that's where, if you're doing all these little 10-acre jobs, it adds up. Mike last year was doing a lot more, 600-700 a day with two machines. That's where, it's efficiencies can be there now, and that's something that we've even seen. And we never thought we'd kind of have a dent in the iron market. A lot of people are looking at actually drones as a viable alternative to upgrading their sprayers. And that's really, when we started with these little 10-liter drones that look like R2D2, I never thought we'd be here.
All right. So continuing with this theme of, all our farmers in our audience want to know what is the approximate cost of a drone? And I know that'll vary by model.
Yeah, again, the base price for the T100 now here, right behind me. So they start at the 48,505. So that's the drone. They did change the way that the whole thing works, where it detaches from the sprayer base and it goes onto the spreader base here. That's the spraying setup with the 25-gallon tank. That's also 3 batteries and your charger. That's basically what you need to get moving. The spreader tank here now has that 100-kilogram spreading lift on it, which is double what the 50 had. But yeah, the spreader would be another $4,600. So that's pretty well what you need to get moving. And then of course there's a couple bells and whistles that we can always, a 4-nozzle kit where we can go up to 10 gallons per minute on the flow rate on the drone. We can fly extremely fast at that 5 gallons per acre, cover a lot more acres in a day.
And do drone operators need special certification to operate legally?
Yeah, of course. We always encourage compliance. Again, Transport Canada did change the rules on November 4th regarding drones over 25 kilograms. So previously you needed a whole special flight operating certificate. Now to fly drones up to 150 kilograms, you just need your advanced drone pilot's license. So yeah, you could fly the T50 there, no problem. It's a very easy process. You do an online written exam, and then you get a flight reviewer. We have some on staff. You go and do a little about 2 hour flight review in person. You fly the drone a little bit. It's not really a skill based thing. It's actually more so about showing that you know safety features in terms of the airspace around you, what to do in an emergency, what airspace you're in, because that license does actually let you fly in controlled airspace as well. So there's a couple boxes we got to tick, but it's not meant to be, do a barrel roll and do a bunch of, cool maneuvers with the drone. It's just showing some basic that you know how not to fly the drone into a building. That's an automatic fail. But that's basically, it's not hard.
Okay. Do you have a sheet with recommended settings for different drone applications? Like you kind of mentioned supporting
Yeah,
clients with their drones, but is that
we
kind of support you offer them?
The 100 is brand new. And so like that's coming for sure. That's definitely something we want to be doing because that's the most important part.
we did see again right after like the official launch for the T100 in Canada was the Woodstock Farm Show. We got our first drone, our first T100, sorry, just before it, and we didn't have any batteries until I think the last day. They were basically coming off the plane and going into the displays. But then shortly after, we did do some work with, again, Jason DeVoe. I believe this one's already published on Sprayers 101. We had Roundup research authorization of a bear. And so we had, I believe it was oats, and we went and did some burn downs. And we did some with the T50, we did some with the T100, kind of side by side comparisons based on preliminary data. We did see about a 30% swath increase. And again, unfortunately, a T50 doesn't fly the same as a 100. The 100 is meant to go a lot faster. So we were kind of, learning a lot as we were going. We're kind of seen as a benchmark, but again, we'd like to get some more solid data for, again, corn is kind of the granddaddy that we're talking about a whole bunch here. Just before, I left a couple acres of corn up before I combined it, where we did do some comparisons with the T50 and the 100 in it. But again, we're talking pretty well senesced corn. It's not going to be the same as fungicide season. Trying to get see how that swath does react. But again, it's unfortunately sounds kind of some shotgun science, which I'm not really a huge fan of, but it's getting us in that ballpark as to where we got to be for next year.
Okay. So no tool is perfect. We know you guys love drones, or you wouldn't be doing what you're
They're
doing.
perfect.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong.
No tool is perfect. So can you tell us, what are drones bad at? What are some situations where a drone might not be the right tool for the job?
I don't know. No, so we will shut down a little earlier on wind, but we turn on a little quicker after a rain. Okay. So the other thing that drones probably aren't going to be best at is that really high gallon work. If we're doing once herbicides are allowed with drones, we're not going to be doing our pre-emerge herbicide with a drone. You need to get really good ground cover with lots of gallons. At least I don't think we will be. Um, Stuff like putting on 28% with a drone, you can't make 28% more dense. You can't make, you know, um,
That's why I prefer urea. There's by straight density.
yep. Areas where I don't know. I honestly have a hard time with this question. It's really difficult.
Well, another one that honestly, again, I think it's fairly well known now. Again, you shouldn't be spraying your pesticides out with the drones. We don't have to beat that horse right now. Again, we're happy that a lot of Drone operators out there are, using them to their full capacity. We don't encourage off-label uses, but if someone's going to go and spray some Roundup, then I can't stop you. That's one thing where you're not going to get those laser edges like you would a field sprayer. Like that fence post to fence post. I always kind of have the analogy that we're not a helicopter and we're not a drone or not a field sprayer. Like I can spray all day with my ground rig. I've got a breakaway boom. If I'm not using it, I'm not getting close enough. The drones, yeah, we can go through branches the size of your thumb. They can also come back with this much of the repeller missing, and then that gets expensive. That underneath the tree thing that Mike was complaining about with the alfalfa, as this is something that as herbicides, once we see these things open up, the places that drive you nuts as a farmer, like underneath the trees or something where you would have had the boom go, that's going to be full of weeds. You can be a hotshot maverick and fly right underneath the tree. Again, we should be respecting buffer zones and all these things. That's just really not where a drone should be in the first place. Again, a lot of customers are, can we use our planting maps to set the field boundaries? Well, you can, but there's two kinds of people in this world. If you say you didn't put your planter underneath those trees, you're lying, because I know what I do with my planter. So, there's, in terms of what they're not good at, those are kind of some of those, there's not, again, that many things. And I know I'm the sales guy, but
you know what they're good at? Not tramping your crop.
And I know you said you don't want to beat this dead horse, and I don't want to have discussion about this, but just in case someone in the audience was not aware, currently there are no agricultural herbicides that are labeled for spraying with a drone.
Couple of additions since.
Okay.
So now we're up to 7 products. Almost, we're on to 2 hands now, products that we can apply with the drones. So we were at 5 a couple weeks ago, 3 of the Vectobax, and then Garlon.
Garland's not an agricultural herbicide.
Correct.
Not really.
This is what I'm saying. Agricultural herbicide, okay? So if you're going out with your grower pesticide safety course,
yeah,
you can't spray that yet.
correct.
Okay, just so everyone knows that.
They did add 2 new products 2-3 weeks ago. Yeah. So one product we've been working with for 4 years. It's a product called Habitat Aqua. It's for Phragmites in aquatic wetlands. That one just got approved. And then also with that one, it's kind of a low ball, but was Harvest Miracle. The active ingredient in it is copper sulfate. So I know, like, the ancient Romans are probably like, yay, our fungicide's approved, because it's been used since like the Middle Ages. So, and again, it's approved for grapes and orchards. So little, yes, now there's a crop product, although it's one of those where copper sulfate can be a fertilizer or it can be a fungicide. So kind of a, yeah.
It's an evolving. It is an evolving space, but I just wanted to make sure that if anyone wasn't aware, that's where we're at today.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing other questions in the chat, although this is your cue, audience, to like quickly type them in if you've got them, because now is your time. I guess my other question for you guys is, like, when it comes to forage crops, we've got our small seeded crops, right? We've got alfalfa, clover, birds of a trefoil. And then we've also got our grasses, which tend to be larger seeded. And very often things like orchard grass, fescues. Timothy is a small seed, so I'm kind of discounting it right now. But like those other grasses, much larger seed, and maybe not quite as vigorous as fall rye, for example. Those annual cereals have a lot of seedling vigor. Have you noticed any establishment differences just based on seed size? Is that something that growers are overcoming with packing? Like how is that playing out with this broadcasting with the drone space?
I've noticed it, but you notice it where you notice it with a regular broadcaster.
Mm-hmm.
So the broadcaster is the broadcaster. We're going to have good catches, and then we're going to have bad ones. I've done work before where the larger seed takes more, this is my theory, takes more moisture to germinate. And so it gets wet, it doesn't quite germinate, doesn't get started, it dries out, it's dead. Where the smaller seed seems to get germinated quicker, doesn't take as much moisture, and it's off and going. I don't know. You have anything to add, Adrian? I'm not sure.
Can't really say that I've seen a big difference one or the other in terms of seed sizes and things getting through the drone. Again, they've improved the spreader design on the T100. We have a really big, like the gate on it's like this 8 by 6 inch opening on it. Timothy, we've had a lot of difficulty getting to flow through the T50s. It just it sticks like crazy. I don't know. We tried graphite. We tried a lot. Yeah, we actually before we had a project we did, and I actually don't have a picture of the end result, but it was a beautiful mat of vegetation after. But we bulked it up with a bunch of potash to get it to flow. So that's where, again, I think we'll see a lot easier spreading with the improvement on the spreader design. The T100 now does use an auger system to kind of push the seed out the bottom here. You probably can't see it home very well, but you know, it's really big, and you can pretty well get anything through it. Again, they've made really big augers on it to push things.
When Adrian's wife's upset with him, that's where he has to sleep.
Yeah, it's huge. Like I've seen a guy climb into it. So yeah, it's you know, in terms of flowing, again, not quite forages, maybe grassland, but the remediation stuff with mines, like we've done some really steep slopes where they'd go out and hand seed them. Using the drone for that, again, alleviates of slips, trips, falls, all the safety stuff the mines don't like. But again, when it comes to adding fertilizer to bulk it out, that's maybe a bit of a no-no. They don't want to play with the environmental side of things. So, you know, it's rice hulls or kitty litter or something we can try to add to get it to flow. But the new mechanism really does help with a lot of that weird bridging.
Right. And sorry, do you know like what kinds of species tend to be in those mine remediation mixes? Because that might give some of us an idea of like, okay, how does this translate over to the forage side?
We got a sample in the back. It's like a 25-way species. It's
okay.
They just sent us here's a bag to make sure it flows before you drive up to Detour Lake. It's like 8 hours. Like you guys in Tuscaloosa Shores would, you know, like it's 6 hours past you guys. Like go until there's nobody and keep on going until you run out of gas.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Put the jerry can in the back of the truck.
Basically.
Yeah. Okay. So. All right. Well, I'm not seeing further questions from our audience, so I want to thank you both so much for talking to us this evening about drones and how we might be able to make better use of them in forage. And with that, I'm going to turn things over to Joe to just kind of wrap up our evening.
Okay. Thank you very much, Adrian and Mike, for your presentation. I know drones are definitely becoming more and more of a presence in the industry, and it's good to hear people that are using it on the scale that you are with the background knowledge that you do. We'd like to thank our conference sponsors, Porteous Russell Real Estate and Range Ward, as well as tonight's sponsor, CanGrow Solutions. And so with that, we will call it a night. And tomorrow we have Christine O'Reilly coming to speak to us about forage fixes for future fortitude. I'll see you all tomorrow.